What would you say are the common misconceptions about him and his presidency and his time?
The biggest misconception, and one of the other big aha moments I had, is that his governance was simply finger to the wind, will o' the wisp, that he was poll-driven, and that he was just a creature of Dick Morris. He was indeed sensitive to polls. It's true that before he went on a family vacation, he polled to go to see what would be a respectable place and what would be a less respectable place. But at the end of the day, one of the things I realized is that Bill Clinton was as ideological a president as Ronald Reagan. He wasn't a right-winger, right?
I'm surprised you're saying that.
But he had a take. And you go back to the 1980s, and in the mid-1980s, there's something called the Democratic Leadership Council, which forms, it's mostly Southern moderates, and they're looking at the failures of the Great Society. They're looking at the success of the Reagan Revolution, and they're saying, we want to save liberalism. And you look at what's called the New Orleans Manifesto. You look at Bill Clinton's speeches to the DLC. You look at his announcement speech in 1992, and you realize that that is his governing plan, in the same way that Ronald Reagan articulates a governing plan. So did he occasionally deviate from it? Yes, but fundamentally, what was the idea? That we have to bring some of the sensitivity from the Reagan era toward the importance of culture and the importance of what's going on in America outside of the political arena into the political arena. And the two key ideas there are, one, fighting crime. I'm going to be a Democrat who fights crime, as I said earlier. And second, ending welfare as we know it. And in 1996, when Bill Clinton signs the welfare reform, and everybody's saying, he's just doing it to win election, win re-election. If you go back to those speeches, you realize, no, part of it was he was doing it because he said, this is my core ideology. And the core ideology was this third way ideology that he then tried to spread through Tony Blair and others. And I've lost you. I'm feeling the skepticism. Which is good.
Skeptical, because you write...
Bring it on. Oh, that was George W. Bush.
I think he sold himself as a liberal when he first ran. So I guess you're suggesting it was a little hypocritical?
No, I'm saying it was a liberal centrism. I'm saying it was a new form
okay, so in your book, you even quote departed Christopher Hitchens saying that, and he says it in anger, that Bill Clinton locked in the Reagan Revolution. And it's a criticism from even the centrist Democrats.
This is one of the struggles that Bill Clinton has, and I think this is one of the struggles that Hillary Clinton is having right now. How do you, on the one hand, hold on to your ideology? How do you, on one hand...
centrist ideology.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
No, how do you hold on to that, but while also being sensitive to the broader changes going around? And when Bill Clinton talked about the third way, it was building on something that Sidney Blumenthal and others in the New Republic, the old version of the New Republic, the good version of the New Republic,
yeah, right, exactly.
The pre-evil version of the New Republic, called The Conversation. And the conversation popped up in 90, 91, 92, was how do we retake the White House? And there were two sides to it, which Bill Clinton brought together. One was simply tactical. They were so disappointed with Michael Dukakis. They were so disappointed with his limp defense of liberalism and what George H.W. Bush called the L word. They were so disappointed by his promise that he was just going to be a pragmatist and that he wasn't selling ideology. They were so disappointed that he was such a terrible candidate that he got Willie Horton. And they promised themselves that they were going to find a candidate who would fight like the Dickens to win. And they found one in Bill Clinton, who woke up every day saying, how do I advance my program? But they also wanted to say, how do we look under the hood, tinker with liberalism, and make sure that we can update it for the 1990s.
Well, update it by moving it right.
Or moving it center, but also keeping core ideas.